Welcome back to another Empowerment Project podcast. So today we brought in our good friends and clients, Carol and Greg. So thank you very much for coming in and joining us and sitting down to talk. They've come all the way over from Delaware in the US and did a fitness photo shoot yesterday. I've been working with you guys for roughly, about 18 months now, maybe?
2 years?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah, so Carol started first, Greg then followed shortly afterwards. And we want to get you guys in to talk about your inspiring journey. I mean, the first question I've got, which is be helpful for me and Pavla in the future at least, I think, is you guys have been married for 40 years. So what type of advice would you give for like a longevity in a relationship?
I guess the thing for me is just communication. I always say the good, the bad, the ugly, right? Just whatever you're feeling, whatever your needs are, just convey those to each other. Talk through things, work through things, and there might be those, there's highs and lows in every relationship, and I think what's worked for us is that we've just communicated, and it's gotten us to where we are now.
Yeah, you have to realize too what your priorities in life are, and my top priority is my relationship with Carol, and so you always keep that in the forefront of your mind. When you speak to each other, when you consider what you're doing for one another, and it'll come out right.
Yeah, you guys are something like what we call in the UK, you might say the same thing, couples goals, because seeing you yesterday, it was just like, if we can do that, I'll be very grateful. It's just,
It's inspiring to us, because we were saying like what resilience and grit you guys have got. Some people like even write themselves off like in their 30s or their 40s if they've got kids and they're busy, and they're like, it's different to when I was in my 20s. And you guys still just like stick it out and grind it out and got these results. Like both of you have lost like over 20 pounds and got in great shape for the shoot. Greg's 66, you're 62. I mean, it's incredible. It really is.
Thank you.
So firstly, it'd be good. Who is Carol? Give us an overview.
Carol is wife to Greg, mother to Angela and Jonathan, and grandmother to Eliana. Like Jacob said, I'm 62. My weight loss journey started about 5 years ago, and just been moving forward ever since.
Amazing. And who is Greg?
Well, I'm 66, husband to Carol and father to Angela and Jonathan. First and foremost, my journey started at a very young age. My father was into fitness, and he guided me, got me started, built my foundation, if you will. But life has its many twists and turns, so my fitness journey's been on and off. But I really found what makes a difference, and how to take care of myself with nutrition and with exercise through the Empowerment Project. I've just learned so much in the last 2 years. I only wish I would have known all of this when I started my journey, because I feel I would have been achieved at least twice of what I've been able to achieve.
Well, listen, we saw you yesterday.
Yeah, I was about to go to that in a minute. I think you should already be pretty damn proud of yourself, mate. It's them photos. I can't wait for other people to see them when they do, but it's impressive. It's going to be very impressive.
It'll be great.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, let's go to Carol first then. You said your journey started 5 years ago, your fat loss, weight loss journey. Talk us through the journey a little bit. Like, what made you take, the action? Where were you at that time?
Okay, well, 5 years ago I retired, and at that point, mentally and physically, I was not well. And when we were retired to a resort area, and there was lots of treats in those resort areas. So, when you're on vacation, you go for a week, you have the treats while you're there. Well, when you live there, we kind of took on having the treats whenever we wanted. So I quickly gained 30 pounds on top of already being overweight. So that created some mental health issues for me. So I sought out the help of a professional, and my therapist, who I thank every minute of every day, she recommended several personal trainers. Reached out to one of them, it was a good fit, jumped on board, and I was with him for 9 months and lost 60 pounds. And I learned a lot about exercise and nutrition at that time.
Yeah,
Okay.
That's amazing. I mean, lose that amount of weight is like life changing again, right?
Yes, it was.
And
yes.
did you notice like a pretty, obviously I know the therapist sort of helped with some of the mental health side of things, but did you also notice that there was a good change in mental health again because of like the physical attributes of your lifestyle changing as well?
Yes. So, I mean, I always heard through, the mental health professionals, exercise just is like that natural pill, if you will. And, you hear it. But until you actually go through a fitness journey and you're working out regularly, consistently, eating right, you don't understand it. But it's true. It's just a natural way of getting your mind in a better place.
And then before that, so if you were already like 30 pounds overweight and you put on another 30 pounds, how long were you like sort of overweight for? Was that a fair bit of your adult life? Or?
Well, my highest weight was 204 pounds. And I was only at that for probably about a year. But before that, I was always, average as a child. I was not overweight. When Greg and I first met, I was, again, my weight was fine. It was really once I started having children and I don't want to say the stresses, but, once I had children, I was working full time, trying to take care of a house, have a marriage. I just seemed to pile the weight on at that point. So
yeah, I suppose with everything else going on, it's when life's busy, it's like you make yourself less of a priority, and then it's like
definitely
after a while, it's like hits you, right?
Yeah.
And I'm guessing it was the when you put on that second version of weight gain is probably where you hit your version of rock bottom. So it's like now I need to do something about this.
Yes, because my body started to show signs of not only my mental health, but my back. I couldn't walk on the beach without my back hurting. I started to go to a orthopedic because my right knee started to swell and had some injections, had fluid removed. And I have to say, since working with you guys, I've had very limited issue there. Nothing that a few ibuprofens couldn't take care of, but immediately swelling goes down. So building up those areas, my back, my knee, my legs, has definitely benefited me from a health standpoint.
I mean, it's we were getting a couple of guys who do it at the photo shoot yesterday, like hold the weight that they've lost, and it's like imagine holding 60 pounds right now in your hand,
right,
and having to carry that every day. That's a lot. And also then you being actually weaker because you don't exercise, so it's like you're weaker and you've got to carry a lot more weight. And it's interesting, so when we first started, it was like I was saying, oh, you know what, I think you should focus a bit more on doing it. Like we will focus on the nutrition, but like let's not go too hard on the deficit because we want something that's sustainable, that doesn't like amplify maybe your relationship with food where it was at the time. But I was like, let's be moderate with that and a bit harder with the steps. And also you were a little bit concerned because of the knee, but because then we were doing a bit of like full body strength training, some conditioning work, and you were then obviously gradually losing weight while doing that. It wasn't really an issue, was it?
No.
So it worked quite well.
Once here or there maybe, but yeah. Nothing like it was. That's
I mean, we were getting you to do a lot of steps, bearing in mind. It's like, we were saying this, if you live in London, it's quite easy to like ramp up 10,000 a day. By the time you walk, you even see this when you're here, right? You guys are surprised at how often we walk. But I guess your lifestyle is a little bit similar to how mine used to be in Cornwall. It's like every time you need to go somewhere, you just get in the car.
Yes.
Right? And it's like, before you know it, like you just spend the whole day sat down. So if you need to do 10K steps, it's hard, it's heavy work.
Especially when you're retired.
Yeah.
So we're home, most days unless we have, errands to run or, plans. So I spend a lot of time with Get Fit with Rick on YouTube.
Yes, Get Fit. We all do Get Fit with Rick. Okay, and then look, with anything, there's always challenges and hurdles. Like losing that weight is super impressive. But can you remember, like, how was the journey? Like, any obstacles you faced, any challenges along the way that tried to trick you?
I think, I had to change my mindset and how I looked at food, how I used food. I was definitely of a reward mentality, comfort mentality, where now I feel like I want food that's going to support the body that I want. Yes. So now, and thanks again to Pavla, because I've got to watch her journey, and now I see the benefit of fueling my body with nutritious food. I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm going to have cake and I'm going to have ice cream, but now it's not like that's the main meal. I want a nutritionally dense plate of food. And then if I feel like having a little sweet or whatever, and it's within my daily intake, then I'll allow myself to have that. And I don't feel guilty for it anymore.
Yeah, before it was either like a stress release. If you were stressed, it's like you wouldn't have done the exercise or ate well, you'd have just gone for the food, right? Which we know that if you eat better and exercise, you'll be less stressed. So it's almost a bit of like, they're the things you need to lean into. And then I'm guessing the other thing is, like you said, is you would have maybe reduced or just skipped some of your main meals because in your head you're like, I want dessert.
Yes.
But then you then end up having more dessert than planned, more regularly, which then creates a sort of vicious cycle in the opposite direction, right? So that's, I'm guessing, over time the things that we managed to work on and change.
Yes, we did.
And yeah, that's been impressive because there's now allowed you to get what you want in a way that's just more sustainable, and at least you can actually stay there and feel more confident with where you're at as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
And you had Greg to support you all the way. You have each other.
Yes. That's been super beneficial to be able to go through this journey together. And we have a home gym. So all we have to do is go down into our basement. So between YouTube and our basement, there's no excuses in our house. Other than, you think, oh, you're retired, get all the time in the world. We're busy. So, we just have to make it a priority.
Yeah, you make time
us as well. Exactly.
Well, Greg, let's get to you then. We obviously joined the EP after Carol joined.
For 4 or 5 months after Carol, I think.
Yeah. How was your journey? What have you learned? Any challenges?
Well, I thought back when I joined, when we first retired, we decided to, as a lot of people do, give back. So we started to support a lot of the senior community, and that was through food networks and volunteering and hospital and so forth. And it was shocking the number of people that I was seeing that were in our age group, and their physical condition was deplorable. And I thought to myself, we wish to have a lengthy, happy, active retirement, and we have to do something. We can't go down the same road they did. And listening to the advice and the guidance Carol was getting, I knew, even though I wasn't in terrible condition yet, if I didn't make some changes in my life, I would be joining them. And that was scary, to say the least. So learning how to sustain good nutrition and learning what a structured exercise routine is what came key through the Empowerment Project. I feel that that's what I could have made the attempt myself. Oh, let's go out and buy a can of protein powder and just go at it. And that's mainly how I used to do things. When you're young, that generally is good enough. But as you get older, you're going to see that it's not proper care. It's not the proper way to go. And without knowing what I know now, and that is, the difference between calorie-dense and nutrient-dense foods, and how and when to eat, and the structured exercise program, I don't feel I would have gone very far down the road without joining those folks. So it's been very beneficial. We're able to travel and enjoy our life because of it.
This is what we love to hear, because it's like, we'll get people that want the short term. I think everybody does. That's why you joined us.
I did too. I wanted results.
That's what gets you going. But then you realize when you're doing it, the real reasons behind why you're doing it is, like Greg said, is the longevity of it, right? And it's even like, if you don't remain active and eat well, even moving into your 30s and 40s and 50s, you're going to see the repercussions of that. So it's like, now that obviously you had this initial weight gain, like this spike above the spike that already was there, it's like, by sort of getting a cap on that relatively quickly, is going to obviously have a big benefit now, like you sort of moving forwards. I was maybe in that you're sort of moving into your late 60s and into your 70s, it would have just become a lot more like detrimental to your health.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, definitely. I do want to say too, we live in the United States and you guys live here, that you can do this program worldwide. You know, you don't have to go to a personal trainer in your neighborhood. You guys have the apps. You make yourselves available day and night to us. You're quick to respond. You communicate in so many different ways: WhatsApp, Zoom, Loom. We get weekly input from you on how to move forward in the every week. So I just want to share that with people that it's not a limiting factor at all, that we're on opposite ends of the world.
Yeah.
So
Yes, and the training that Carol received at the first go around when she lost all that weight, that was fine, but there was no. It was not a sustainable form of training. It was hard. It was grueling,
restrictive, very
restrictive, and she has been able to attain even more through the Empowerment Project, and yet have a very sustainable, normal life, eating normally, eating good varieties of food. We're not restricted basically to asparagus and water.
Right. And that's what brought me to Jacob and Pavla, was because I was looking, after those first 9 months, I was looking for something that I felt like I could live with. I felt like the first program and trainer I was with did what he needed to do for me, or I did, through him, what I needed, which was get that weight off, right? But I was following Jacob, and I was like, this is more sustainable. It was like that was the next level of my health and fitness journey that I needed. And it's been life-changing. I mean, it really has, because I don't want to get too emotional, but because you guys become such friends. We're not just.
You're gonna make me cry now.
No. We're just not clients anymore.
Yeah.
We're friends. We're family, right?
Yeah.
So, so I just feel like I had a thought there. I'm sorry. I lost my emotions. I kind of lost my thought. But
When you're looking for...
You two are too kind. People are going to think we've been paying you to say this now.
No, you were talking about how you wanted to obviously change and find something more sustainable.
Right. So it was not only the sustainability, but it was, those habits, those bad habits I had created that I had held on to for so long based on emotion or just habit, I had lunch, I need something sweet, and I've changed that.
Yeah, me and Pablo
through
always,
you guys.
we always try to analyze and get to know a client as best as we can. And we may put some of these big results online, but we're always mindful of the fact it's as soon as you start dieting someone or pushing someone, all these things are fine, but it can amplify some problems.
Yes.
And this is why when we first started working together, you seen really fast results before, and you were adamant that's what you needed again. You're like, I need to see really quick, and I was like, no, you don't.
Yes.
That's what you don't need right now. We need to actually improve your relationship with food. And then we did actually continue then to focus on weight loss, and it was slower. Right. But I'm guessing I was just trying to adjust your expectations initially, which was a challenge, but we got there with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. What I think there was, I went through a lot in the first, year and a half when we met. Daughter getting married, son went off to medical school, granddaughter was born, my parents were ill, my dad died. But you were so focused in on me that you knew at each point how to steer me, and it worked. You really listened, and I appreciate that from the bottom of my heart.
No, you're welcome.
Because that's why we're here today.
Yeah, and it's
girl.
It's important for me and Pablo to get to know our clients a lot, and that's what we were saying to you yesterday. And this is why we feel like people stay for so long, because we do build very personal relationships with people.
Yes.
And it was
so much more.
It was really interesting the first time we met you, because it was we've been talking online for way over a year. And I basically felt like I knew everything about both of you, but I'd never seen you in the flesh.
Yes.
So it's really weird when you meet someone. You guys get off at Heathrow, get the train into Paddington. Obviously, we lived in Paddington at the time. We meet you at the station. I'm like, I don't know this woman, but I do. It's really weird.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
It's really strange meeting you for the first time. But it was also nice to actually see you. And it's great that you're here again. And obviously, we got plans of hopefully coming out to the US next year, which would be really cool.
Yes, definitely.
And look, what you said basically summarized what we try to do. We never want to anyone who jumps on board to think about this as a diet, it's a lifestyle change. It was the same for me. And me and you are very similar when it comes to the eating habits, right? You know, like we would restrict main meals just to have more snacks on the side.
Yes.
Without thinking how food actually affects us. And I think obviously I've changed that and you've changed that now. And you can allow yourself have those things you want, but you prioritize your main meals and have the energy and good food on your plate, which is a huge change. I know that takes time. You know, I've done the same.
It does take time.
So well done.
And thank you. We've been on a couple trips and we have a couple more coming up. And because we've learned to be consistent with our training, when we do go on vacation, we pretty much eat what we want.
Yeah.
And then when we come home, we don't slack.
Yeah.
We give ourselves a day to catch up, and then we're right back on, to our training and everything. And I feel, you hear it over and over again, all training, consistency is key, It truly is. You just have to and even if you just have a bad day or a bad night, right, out drinking, eating, whatever, don't shame yourself. Just get back on that horse the next day, And
it's really a law of averages. It's like, this is what I was saying to you before. I was like, you were sometimes like stressing, I've got this holiday in 4 months' time. I'm like, the holiday's not the problem. You going away and enjoying yourself for a week is not the problem.
Yes.
It's what you're doing on the
It's
average
after.
week.
Yes,
That's
yes.
the issue.
You're
Right?
exactly right.
But it's amazing everywhere I go, since I've learned as much as I have through you, when we go places and we go out and you just go to a restaurant, we can go to a restaurant and eat something that is nutritionally good for us because we learned how to order food and how to eat, and you look around you and you see the mistakes, the horrible things that people don't realize they're doing to their bodies.
Yeah, we almost wish we could share our knowledge with them, but of course you don't want everyone to shame anybody. We've all been in that place, but we've definitely learned
what they're doing, what they're eating, and
pastries for breakfast and
This is why a lifestyle change is important. Like we always try to give clients like what they want to start with, because we need you to get buy-in. Like if you come in the program and we don't give you like something, you're going to be like, oh, this thing doesn't work.
Right.
But then once we've got you hooked, we're then like, right, now we'll give you what you need. And that's what we started to do with you. And it's like over time, it's like you have like this whole totally different shift that you didn't even really consider to start with. All these other things that you can sort of like learn and change that allow you to enjoy this. It's like, okay, you know what? Yeah, like I want to lose a bit of weight. I need to see I look better in a dress and stuff like this. But it's also like, okay, cool. I can go on holiday and eat cake and still have all these things and know how to do it in a way that's like better for your mental health as well, actually, because you don't have to then feel like angry about yourself at something that's like really not a big deal in the grand scheme of things.
No, it's not, because like you said, one day, 1 week.
Exactly.
As long as you're consistent, it's not going to make a difference.
Well, and let's talk about yesterday, because we had something very special happening, didn't we?
We did.
Greg and Carol joined our client shoot yesterday, which was amazing. We had 7 individuals, and you obviously being a part of that as a couple. Let's talk about the journey a little bit. One of you start, like, what have you learned in the process? What have you achieved? And how was the whole experience yesterday?
I've just learned so much. I guess I've just learned how to control my intake of, my sweet addiction or my love of sweets. I've learned to eat better, nutritionally eat better. Just learned to, get at it, do my exercise on the days I need to do my exercise and make that the priority, make myself and, my time exercising the priority. So I guess that's what I've learned. What else?
What you've achieved?
What I've achieved? Well, I've achieved a 22-pound weight loss. I've achieved, I think, better confidence. I'm not exactly where I want to be. And I think it's hard for women because I think we struggle with that scale, the number on the scale. And I'm no different. I want a certain number, but I'm proud of myself. I have biceps. I have triceps.
And the back.
Yeah.
I do
But
think,
now I want more.
yeah, I do think you're quite a lot less fixated on the number now, because like before in your head you were like, I need to be there, and I was always questioning like, what happens when you get there? Like, is that really that important? And over time changed your way of looking at that, right?
Yes,
You're looking at it
and-
more from a overall lifestyle. You're like, okay, how can I look and feel good, but how's this also maintainable and enjoyable for me as well?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
I want to wake up in the morning and I don't want to have a sugar hangover.
Yeah.
Or I just don't want to go there again, so I've achieved that as well. I wake up and I've fueled my body to the point where it rewards me every morning when I wake up, and my gut health is good, and just my overall mental and physical well-being is in good shape.
And Greg, what did you think of the shoot, mate? So I'll be honest, for 66, the amount of muscle you hold on to in a calorie deficit, it's like a 20-year-old guy would be happy with that. It's insane.
Everybody tells me.
Yeah, it's absolutely.
He was like the star of the show.
Yeah.
Right?
Our videographer there yesterday, like he's come along to a lot of our shoots, and he even said to me, whisper in the background, he's like, "How old's this guy? Like, this is not normal." I'm like, "Yeah, I know. Trust me."
No, I think the best thing was when the lady who gave you a spray tan asked you if you work out.
No, he's just got massive biceps
happens.
and loads of veins, but he doesn't train. But yeah,
In a six-pack.
So what did you think of the whole day, mate? How did you find it?
Oh, it was a great experience. I met wonderful people.
Yes.
New friends.
Yeah.
Newfound friends for sure. And it was a relaxing, fun environment. And you guys made it a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But it was a great driver for both of us.
Yes.
Getting prepared for it, because we had never done anything like that. And to think about what was coming gave us a lot of incentive to really go for it.
It was exciting, and
yeah, we had to make a little more of a sacrifice as far as our food intake and calorie intake and whatnot, and our workout regimen was a bit more intense.
but for a shorter period of
Short
time
period
too.
of
It was just a
time, and we
couple
had
weeks, month,
Yeah, we had that payoff we knew was coming.
right?
So that really gave us the incentive to
the drive.
drive, and I think
The
we were
push.
both intrigued. Like, what could we achieve? How far can we take this?
But having that date in your mind, that, okay, I need to be done by this day, and like you said, the curiosity of what could I do by that day, it helps push you on. And this is what we were talking about
Yeah.
yesterday, even at the shoot, right? We were saying that, like, even you mentioned a minute ago, you're maybe not 100% of where you want to be, but like you're a way closer than you were before, and you're
Yes.
maybe like touching distance from it now, rather than feeling like it's a whole country
Far
away.
away.
Yeah, like a whole nother
And
year.
and something like
yeah.
that shoot helped to sort of accelerate that a little bit.
Yes.
Because if you were on holiday or like you having a stressful week and you just can't be bothered as much, it's easy to go, you know what, I'll just go a bit slower this week. But because you're like, okay, we've got this thing coming up in 2 months' time, you just stay more focused, right?
Push.
And
Yeah.
it's
And you
helped.
still had your social life as well, right? You went on holiday
We had
during
2
the prep.
trips.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Went
had
to
a-
Hawaii,
Like I said, you had a cruise
Yeah.
like a
with
month
all
ago.
that food. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
But
so
we
We went to the
maintained.
gym 5 times out of 7 days.
On the cruise
so
ship.
On
we
the
even
cruise ship.
surprised ourselves as
Yeah.
far as that went. But yeah, we balanced it out, and I came back and I bounced back
Straight
which
away.
is
Oh,
unusual
amazing.
for me. So
Amazing.
that told me that my body had already changed. So
We
And
didn't
your
come
mindset.
back with a 5-10 pound weight gain. We just
no.
I think you guys are actually down a little bit,
Yeah.
right? You're actually
we
down.
found shortly, a couple days later, we were down and weight.
yeah. But again, it was just jump back right on that
Our
horse,
bodies were
you know.
humming. They were
Yeah,
so
they really
well
will. So
tuned.
and I was worried about that because the
I know.
window between the end of the Hawaii cruise, having our granddaughter for 10 days, and then 3 days later coming to England, we were under a little bit of a stress. But it all worked. We
Yeah.
just kind of just took a deep breath and just said, we're doing good. Let's just keep moving forward. And we, even with our granddaughter, we'd work out together. We just tag teamed. So he would have her upstairs, I'd go downstairs, and then we'd switch. And
Yeah.
so here we are,
We
and
made it
feeling
work.
really good.
The lead up to it, or the workup, really wasn't all that long. I mean,
No.
I was amazed at what we could do
In a short
such
period
a
of
short
time.
window.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And based on our age too, because it does slow things down,
100%,
I think,
yeah.
when you get older.
Of course.
But
Oh.
it doesn't mean that it cannot be reversed.
It's possible.
Yeah.
And even on my journey the first time, I ended up at, I guess I was in my 50s. I ended up on blood pressure medication and cholesterol medication. And after 9 months, I came off of that. Now my weight went up a little bit again, so I ended up back on the blood pressure, but that's one of my goals is to, I'm hoping it's not genetic and that I can
Bring it
come back off of that as well. And I do believe that a lot through diet and exercise, I feel like those are reversible.
And we'll continuing to get this weight off now in a bit more of a sustainable way for you. This last little part will allow you to sort of keep it to a lower end afterwards as well, right?
Right.
And it's what I said a minute ago. It's just making sure that the right approach is implemented for each person. Like fast results are fine. And I like just cracking on and doing it quickly. But with some people, you just have to analyze it and go, right, what's the right thing for this person?
Yeah.
And obviously, if someone's already got a bit of a rocky relationship with food and you put them in a real hard deficit for a long period of time, it's only going to amplify it.
Right.
So sometimes you just have to there's no right or wrong, but it's like what's right for each person.
Yeah.
And
you guys are very good at that. It's like I said earlier, everything that I had going on when I first initially joined the program, you just were every week, based on what was going on in my life, you just said, okay, this week I want you to do this. And, that could change the following week. Again, your program's not a one size fits all.
No.
Your program is tailored to each individual and their circumstances. And again, it's just one more, reason we love the program
Well,
so
when you
much.
tell us, well, this is what you need to do and this is what you'll achieve, and you're thinking, how? You can't figure how it's going to happen, but it does.
Like
Yeah.
you always say
Right.
about the 10 to 14 day window, right?
Yeah.
And it works.
Yeah. You're like, you get on that scale in the morning and you're like, I'm up. Why? And you're like, well, it could be water retention. It could be, toilet issues, whatever.
Hormones.
And you say, just give it 10, 14 days and you speak of the truth.
Yeah.
Again, that's the consistency, right?
I have the
Yeah.
chart,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I can see, and it might
It
go
goes
up
down.
and down a little bit, but the trajectory is always, or it has
Yeah.
been for both of us, downward.
This is why
So-
more data over time is good because it helps you understand your body better, and it also helps you
Yes.
build a better relationship with it. Like, before you used to hate weighing yourself and you weigh
Yes.
yourself once a week and then that would annoy you. And I'm like, you know what?
Yes.
Let's start weighing yourself several times a week. And you're thinking, what the hell would I want to do that if I don't like it once a week? I'm like, well, no, you've got more data. You can
Yes.
take averages and you can just sort of actually get used to going, okay, look, I've had more salt yesterday. There's more water on my body. Obviously, my weight's going to be up. And then it makes you look at it a little bit more like subjectively rather than being reactive to it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all
You
these
just
are all
kind of have to stay the course,
Yeah.
trust the process, right?
and these are little parts of the jigsaw that have helped improve your relationship with certain things that then
Yeah.
allow you to get results. Where before, you would have been triggered by that and maybe just gone, screw it, I'll just take the weekend off.
Yeah, not anymore.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. Before
Oh,
I would be
yeah.
triggered by
You don't have the stop and start mindset anymore.
No, right.
And the
Not at all.
energy increase you get, it's amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, the two
We
of
keep
us.
up with you.
You can.
We're up,
I do have to slow down on the tube every now and again. I'm turning around
Yeah, a little bit.
I'm
Well,
like, come on, grandma, keep up.
part of it, I think, is, was eating habits, and
Yeah.
she's learning from us.
Yeah, our
We've been
children,
teaching
and
her.
that's another
And
benefit.
she-
You being a role model.
We
Our daughter's
are.
been dropping weight and
Yes.
after her baby.
And cooking her own meals
After
at
her
home
granddaughter.
versus eating out, and she has a young child, so it's hard to work all day and then put a dinner together and everything. Preparation with buying the right foods, having the right foods in the house, right, preparing it correctly.
They set up the
and
home gym, and now she's seeing the weight start.
well,
to
I was
come
gonna
on.
say our son-in-law is has always been very active, likes to hike and stuff like that. So he has also been a major influence on her and her activity and eating healthy. And he recently told us he lost 15 pounds. So
Wow.
Crazy.
they're working it. Our son, he's in Iowa, but he saw our change,
Yeah.
and he goes to the gym regularly. eats
It's
pretty
encouraging for
healthy.
them.
It's really
Yeah,
encouraging.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
does actually trickle down.
Yeah, big time. It's why a lot of people would even join our programs. They may know of someone else who's done it and then see the
Yeah.
benefits that they've had.
And they want the same.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get inspired by that sometimes as
Yeah.
well. And this is why it's also great that you two do it and you're on the
Together.
same page because you can be so more supportive. It's
Right.
me
Eating
and
the same.
yeah, and it's why it works well for me and Pavla. If your partner's not wanting to exercise or eat well and you're adamant you want to do it, it's it makes it way more difficult because it already requires a level of effort to start with to build these habits.
Right.
And if there's a load more friction there, then it's even harder, right? So the
Right.
fact you two just bounce off each other and help each other out
Support
with
each
it,
other.
it makes it a lot easier.
Oh,
that
it
you're on the
definitely
same
does.
page.
Yeah.
And the energy thing goes, it's even worse when you're older. We have several older friends, and I mean, most old people, you always hear about them going to bed at 7, 8 o'clock at night. They're done.
Yeah.
They're done, and we are.
Yeah, we don't want to be like
back
that.
like we were when we were young. We could stay up at night and not feel dragged out because we have good energy levels.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
from the food and the exercise.
Yeah.
So
definitely.
it only gets worse as you get older.
Yeah.
The drop.
And
in
I've
energy.
seen even with my own, my mom. She just in her later years just maybe sat a little too much, and you atrophy, and it's happened to her, and that makes me sad, and I don't want that for myself. So
Yeah.
that also encourages me.
Yeah, like strength training, nutrition, just getting your steps in each day, it's keeping the body moving. It's really,
Yes,
really important.
moving,
right?
exactly. Yeah.
Okay, and I have maybe one of the last, not the last, but a question for you. If both of you, if someone is similar age to you and maybe in a place where they are not very happy about their health and fitness and confidence, but they just feel like, I'm a little bit older now, what's the point to start now? Nothing is going to change. What would be your advices to those people who are listening?
Well, I feel like no matter what age you're at, whether it be health, fitness, skiing, you want to learn how to ski, you want to learn how to sew, it's never too late. Never, never. As long as you're living and breathing, I feel like we can do anything, and I'd highly encourage it. I mean, because again, I think by moving all the time, you'll just hopefully sustain your life longer, live a healthier life versus someone who has to go into a nursing home because they can no longer walk or
Yeah, you'll have a higher quality of life.
Yeah.
And people when they retire, they look forward to traveling and doing all these things,
And that helps.
and that
yeah.
requires a lot of being able
Stamina.
to move
Yeah.
and stamina, and this certainly helps. And the sooner you change these bad habits,
Change your behavior.
you're going to improve. There's no doubt
Yeah.
that by doing that, changing those habits, your life and your physical well-being will improve.
Well,
if
and
you keep going without the change, you're just going to
probably
continue
going to go in the opposite
And
direction.
it doesn't take that long either in the grand scheme of things, right? Like it's like
No.
most people want it to happen like overnight. So sometimes me and Pav just have to like adjust people's expectations a little bit, like we do with everybody. But it's like even like I had to review sometimes as well, even on your journey, right? But it's like in 6 months a lot can happen, man. Like a lot can happen in 6
3
months.
Exactly,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
not to look on stuff
Yeah.
week on week, but don't look what you can do in 1 week, what you can do in 2 months. It's such a just have a bit of a longer mindset.
That time's going to go by regardless.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, 2 months just flies by.
Oh,
Right,
literally.
and my mom used to. She said this phrase to me when I used to bowl as a teenager. She used to say, "Slow and steady," and I still have that burned into my brain. And also, just start. It doesn't have to be even on the steps with Rick on YouTube. He even says he has step programs for just do 100 steps a day. Just start. Start small. And it's amazing how when you just start, then you can just build. And like you do with the steps and stuff.
Or even the nutrition or anything.
And
Yeah. It's
yes,
like,
you'll start at this point and then you'll slowly increase so it doesn't feel so overwhelming.
Yeah.
magnified. Yeah.
Yeah, you break it down into smaller phases.
Yes, smaller goals,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
it be
Well,
with
like
the
to
food
see-
or the exercise
Yeah.
or whatever. Yeah,
And people like to see progress,
sure, but
You
you're
know,
gonna
it-
see it.
and that's a neat thing about weight training, is it's something you can in a tactile way see. As you're lifting, you start at 10 pounds, and then a while later you're up to 15 or 20. You can just see this progress.
Yeah,
Yeah.
progress gets a little bit addictive, and it's even like
It is.
it's
It
like
is.
you said, if you can just start something, you're going to see benefits from doing it.
Yeah.
You like
Versus not doing
you like
anything,
them
right?
benefits, and then you then feel more inclined to keep doing it.
Yes.
But I think
Because again, you get that
Exactly.
endorphin.
The
right?
drive.
Yeah.
and it's also important not to go from 0 to 100 if you're just starting out,
No,
like because then
no.
obviously you can then feel overwhelmed. You're not going to stick to it, and then you don't really see any
Again,
change.
it goes back to the sustainability, right?
Yeah.
If you start small, then you're like, okay, I can handle this.
Yeah.
Okay, you go to the next level. Oh, I can handle that too, you know, and
And you
then
can
you just
definitely
build
like,
and
you know, you can magnify it over time, like we did with you at the end. I said, you know, because you wanted results a bit quicker to start with, and I said, look, we will get to that point.
yeah.
And after a little while, I was hitting you like a ton of bricks. And to be honest with you, you were just cracking on with it. You were
Yeah.
like, but you were ready for that then. You were
I
ready
was,
to get
yes.
going.
My head
And-
was in the
Yeah.
game.
And if anything, you're actually like looking forward to the push a little bit. You know,
Yes.
you wasn't so overwhelmed by it. Where if we did that from the get go, it would have just been
And
really
especially
overwhelming.
because those first 9 months of
Yeah.
my journey was just push,
Yeah.
push. You know, what's the other word I'm looking for? Yeah, it was very structured.
Yeah.
You know, with the eating, that was the hardest part. Was just the eating was so restrictive. That's why
Yeah, and you
I was
also
so
need to learn skills outside of the plan. It's all good having a plan, but it's like knowing how,
Yeah.
because you're not always going to stick to the plan. Like life doesn't work like that, right?
Right, right.
So it's also like sometimes like a little bit less structure, but then you doing things, making mistakes, and then we giving feedback. That's more like lifestyle advice.
Yeah.
Rather than, you
like
know,
a learning
Exactly.
process.
And that's what we always try to do sometimes as well. So it's like having these periods where you were going a little bit slower was actually okay because you were learning other stuff. You wasn't
Yes,
necessarily
yes.
you wasn't necessarily losing weight as fast, but then you were learning other things that were going to help contribute towards more like weight maintenance in the future,
Yes.
which was important.
Well, and her prior trainer got the weight off, got her through that, and then that was the end of it.
Yeah,
There was no follow on. There was no how
Maintenance.
to
Yes.
Yeah, how to
The learning
move
after.
forward. Yeah,
Your
which
life.
you guys do
life training.
do offer us, you know, like so when we leave here, you know, you'll give us our plan for, you know, nutrition and exercise moving forward.
How to maintain
yeah,
what
and-
you've worked so hard to achieve.
Because that's the hardest part, right?
It's-
People get
yeah.
to
What do
a
I do
result.
now?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And
yeah.
then you left
Okay.
to it, and this is when the habits creep in and people go backwards. That's why
I think
maintenance
yeah.
is
So important.
and probably harder
And
than
it's
fat loss.
vastly
Yeah,
different
yeah.
because
Very,
you can't
very.
continue the loss process was very
you
different.
didn't
from the
have to
maintenance
lose that.
process. Well, and it's like you can't continue on that loss process. It's not sustainable.
Well,
So
even
how do I get back into normal life, but yet
Not regress loads. And it's
Right.
yeah, it's hard because I'm guessing like for most people they feel like they don't have a goal at that point, but they do. The goal is to like try and find maintenance because that in itself is a task. You know,
It's very
it's
hard.
a task.
balance.
Big time, yeah. And you don't want to like, you know, strip off 30 pounds and feel great about yourself physically and mentally and your health. And then before you know it, a lot of people don't put the weight back on. They put the weight back on and more,
Yes.
right? So it's like, okay, so how can we, like, you know, it's not like you have to like stay at your peak condition year round, but it's just like knowing how to stay in an area that you feel happy with.
Well,
It's good
right.
for your health, right?
And that's what happened to me. So I lost that 60 pounds, but then slowly,
Started shooting back up.
because I wasn't taught
How
this
to.
is how to maintain, I ended up 20 pounds back, right? And then we got that off.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I just got a little bit more, and I'll be at the number I would like to be at.
You
You're
will.
not too worried about that number.
No,
I
no,
remember.
I'm not. I'm really looking
No, I know you
forward
are.
to,
Yeah.
you know, sustaining
Yeah.
the habits and,
But even like yesterday, like you did the shoot, and I said like we always say to people after shoots, go and eat what you want. Like you've been doing this for ages, especially the last month. You've been pushing like hell, and you guys like just send me a photo of you and Nando's having your chicken and veg.
Oh, hey, Nando's.
obviously you weren't allowed to have like brownies and stuff that Pavla made afterwards. But it just goes to show, you know, like before maybe after like a really aggressive diet for like 9 months, you would have probably just opened up a whole can of worms of whatever for ages,
oh,
right?
we have. You
Yeah.
know, we had when we lived in Maryland. We used to drive to Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
It's only about an hour away, but we had a favorite pizza place, and they had an ice cream store next door, and so we'd go from one to the other. You know, but yeah. Yesterday, no, I wanted chicken.
Yeah.
Nice. Look at that change. But this all comes down to, I feel like women struggle with this more than men. You know, the never-ending weight loss, weight gain cycle. Lose weight, gain weight. Lose weight, gain weight. You've done it. I've done it. You
Right.
know. So I honestly feel like maintenance is the phase where you probably need to be even more accountable. And
It is definitely
it's a
tougher.
journey
It's
itself.
definitely
Yeah.
tougher
Well,
for
can
women.
I throw
yeah.
in menopause?
Yes.
I know you,
Of course.
Sarah. I think
Yeah.
it was you had a podcast with her, which I thought I applaud you guys for doing that because I think so many women, perimenopause, postmenopause, nobody tells you what's coming. They don't tell you the train's coming and how to avoid it, you know? And same was true with me. And, you know, I think a lot of women think it affects their weight loss, but it does and it doesn't, I would say. From my experience, I thought the same thing, and I thought hormones and all that, gut health, I thought that was all affecting my weight loss, and it might have, but sometimes there's no way of really knowing that.
I mean, it will a little bit for sure, but I mean, I'm guessing the biggest problem is like you don't feel good. And then you then make bad choices that amplify it. Like you don't
Right.
exercise.
I was going to say,
you eat
You
worse.
turn to the comfort food.
Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
and I'm
Fix it.
thinking it really was more about the nutrition.
Comfort, right? Yeah.
It was more about
Yeah.
the nutrition, and of course the exercise and the
Yeah.
steps and everything. But even to just point to that for a minute, it's not like you have us exercising 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. No, we have a 45-minute workout. I do 3 days. Greg does 4, and then I do anywhere from 12.5 to 17,500 steps a day. And some days I will say it can be a little challenging.
Don't worry, that's going to come back now a little bit.
But I kind of like about 12,500. It
Yeah.
makes me mentally feel
Good.
like
Good.
I'm doing my part.
Yeah.
To keep my.
It's nice to
weight.
get up
Yeah,
and
and
move,
it's
right?
an investment in your health.
Yeah.
But you're in a position now where what you do drives you and you do it for your health and you're
Does.
disciplined to that, right? You no longer like push yourself to train. You actually want to do it.
Yes.
You want to eat the good food, which I think that change is the biggest thing you
It
can.
really
yeah,
is.
yeah.
Getting
The
biggest
a
win.
grip
Yeah,
on that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
Amazing. I think that is everything. Anything else you'd like to add?
No, I'm all good.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming in and
It's
talking.
been great.
Oh,
hope
our
you enjoyed it.
pleasure. Yeah.
Yeah.
this is
I don't want you
great.
to go now.
Yeah.
Miss
So,
you.
we'll be in the US next, hopefully. So
Yes.
Yeah.
thank you so much for coming in, guys.
Thank you.
Oh,
welcome.
you're very welcome, and thank you for
thank
everything.
You, yes. Thank
Yeah.
you for really changing our lives.
Yeah, we appreciate
Absolutely,
it.
for the better.
Yeah.
Pick up.